Today on Sugar Spun Run, I'll be showing you how to make homemade biscotti. Hey Sugar Spun bakers, Sam here, and today I am so excited to be sharing another carefully tested, well-researched, and perfected recipe. This biscotti recipe actually appeared on the blog several years ago. The video was pretty old. I thought it was about time that I get an update. The recipe is well loved. It has nearly 100 5-star reviews, so the recipe remains unchanged. Let's go ahead and get to it by preheating our oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. Next, grab a large mixing bowl, and in this we are going to combine 10 tablespoons of softened unsalted butter with 1 1/3 cups of granulated sugar. Now you could use a stand mixer for this part. You would use a stand mixer with a paddle attachment. Today I'm just going to be using my electric hand mixer. And we'll cream together the butter and sugar until everything is creamy and well combined. All right, the next thing you're going to need is 3 large eggs. We're going to add these into the batter one at a time, stirring after each addition. All right, next for a little bit of flavor, we'll add 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract. Now, some recipes use anise extract instead. If you would like to use that, that's perfectly fine. You would add that here. All right, at this point, I like to pause and just scrape the bowl, scrape the sides and bottom of the bowl. I wanna make sure there are no pieces of butter remaining, no lumps. I wanna make sure everything's smooth and well combined. All right, once everything is nicely combined, we can set this aside, and you're going to need a separate bowl for your dry ingredients. Here we'll combine 3 1/4 cups of all-purpose flour, 1 tablespoon of baking powder, and 3/4 teaspoon of salt, and just whisk everything together until it's nicely combined. All right, once everything is nicely combined, bring back your butter mixture. We're going to gradually add the dry ingredients to the wet ingredients until they're completely combined. I like to do this part just by hand using a spatula, but if you want to use your mixer on low speed, that would be fine. I'm just going to add the flour in about 3 or 4 parts and stir really well after each addition. If you add too much flour at once, you can make it difficult to combine the dough. It can be really stiff and it can be quite an arm workout. All right, once you have a nice cohesive dough, we can add any add-ins that you would like. Today, I'm going to be using mini chocolate chips and slivered almonds, and I'm using 2/3 cup of each. We'll stir these in until completely combined. All right, so our biscotti dough is prepped, so you're going to want to grab yourself a cookie sheet, and I've lined mine with a sheet of parchment paper. Now we'll divide the biscotti dough roughly in half. And what I want to do here is I want to form each half of the dough into a log. I want it to be about 10 to 12 inches long and about 3 inches wide. The dough is going to be a little bit sticky, so I like to lightly flour my hands with a little bit of all-purpose flour. Makes it a lot more manageable this way. Then I'll use my hands to form the dough into these logs. Because my cookie sheet isn't quite that long, I just go ahead and assemble these on an angle. Now the biscotti will spread in the oven, so you want to leave at least 4 inches between each log. All right, so now we can take this over to our preheated oven where it's going to need to bake for 30 minutes. Now when the biscotti is finished its first bake, because we are not done yet, it should be a nice golden brown color. Now, biscotti means twice cooked or twice baked, so we are not finished baking it, and you can go ahead and leave your ovens on for now. We are going to let this biscotti cool completely before we go any further, but once it's cooled completely to the touch, meaning the biscotti should not be warm, the pan should not be warm, we can go ahead and cut it into our slices. I recommend using a nice serrated knife. This is a bread knife, and we're going to cut the biscotti on the bias so that we have 1-inch thick slices. Now place your biscotti slices cut side down. And we're going to return them to the oven where we're going to cook them for 10 minutes. After 10 minutes, remove the biscotti from the oven, and we're going to carefully flip each slice because we want it to be evenly cooked. This second bake is what gives the biscotti its classic texture, and we want to make sure it's evenly cooked on both sides. Now I'm going to just use a pair of tongs. You could do this by hand. I'm just going to carefully flip each slice. Now we'll return the pan to our 350 degree Fahrenheit oven. We're going to let the biscotti cook for another 10 minutes. After those 10 minutes have passed, all you have to do is let your biscotti cool completely, and then it is ready to enjoy. And that is how you make homemade biscotti. I really hope you guys enjoyed today's recipe, and if you try this one out, please let me know what you think, and let me know what mix-ins you used. I always love hearing from you. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. It's good.